Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielsen and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
What's going on, everybody? It is the Lock Shop, Dusty and Hus. Back with you once again. We're recapping the Monday Nighter, a decent slate in the NHL here on a Tuesday night. And, of course, NBA in-season quarterfinals continue. We'll get into that as well. Hus, nice win for the Jets last night, my man.
LB stepped up big time, I'll be honest. I was a little nervous as to the start of the season for Connor Hellebuck's backup, especially considering he signed, I think, with the thought that in all likelihood Hellebuck was going to be moved and he was going to get the opportunity to be the guy. And then he signs a 7-year extension before the season even starts.
Surprise.
So he's had a couple shakier nights, but man, he was good. And listen, the shots were crazy. I think they ended up, he technically made 42 saves.
Stop 42 or 43 according to the stats. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, listen, Carolina shoots from the dressing room too, though. So, I mean, there was a lot of pucks in around, but he was awesome. And, I wasn't sure how long or how well this would go with Ehlers moving up with Connor and Scheifele. We've sort of seen that tried before. They looked really good last night. 2 absolutely beautiful goals. And
the one was making waves on Twitter there. I saw the tic-tac, and then back up top to Ehlers with a wicked snipe. That was nice.
And then the best thing about it was, like, he was on his knees doing the cross spin around to the crowd. People, the young Dane has some flair when he popped one in. It was good. I mean, obviously it was a real tough one to take against the Oilers last week, but and they bounced back with 2 straight wins. And you know what, man? They really needed to right now. Like, I don't know if you've been paying attention to kind of what's happened in the wild card race. Well, I guess imagine a lot of people in Edmonton.
Oh, the Arizona Coyotes, buddy.
Dude, the Coyotes and St. Louis. St. Louis just went into Vegas last night and won as well. So it was a good thing that the Jets did win because they've still just got 2 points up on Arizona and 2 points on the Blues. But with that win, it also puts them 2 points out of first place and 1 point behind the Dallas Stars. So the Central's looking pretty good right now. And, like, obviously the Pacific, you got 3 teams and then a big gap before you get to Calgary. As it is right now, both of the wildcard teams coming out of the Central. And I don't think that's the way people had things written up when we went into the season.
No, definitely not. And it's funny because the Oilers have been sitting here. They haven't played since last week. They'll play tomorrow against the same Carolina team that the Jets beat last night. And when the Oilers started this 5-day break, they were 3 points out of a wild card spot. And right now they're 8 points out of a wild card spot. So a lot can happen in 4 or 5 days in this race when you're not playing. So now they've got a couple games in hand because they haven't played. They got 2 games in hand on Nashville, 2 games in hand on Calgary. Calgary's lost Markstrom for a little while here. They got 4 games in hand on Seattle and then 2 games in hand on each of the Coyotes and the Blues. But the Arizona Coyotes are quite the story. What's that? 5 straight Stanley Cups, the last 5 Stanley Cup champions they've beaten.
Never happened before.
Yeah, which is kind of a neat thing for them for sure. Be interesting to see how that continues. And we'll get into the slate tonight, obviously. Did you see this? Dunk just tweeting out. You see the Ticats news?
No.
Ed Hervey will be taking over as general manager. Orlando Steinauer will be focusing on president football operations role. Lieutenant Eric just came in. Herv is becoming the GM of the Ticats. Orlando's going to focus on the president and football operations role. So that's kind of interesting.
I'll say. That Hamilton organization is interesting. I mean, Orlando Steinauer was the guy who was kind of doing everything.
And Orlando also won't coach. They're going to announce a new head coach later this week. So he's just straight up become, like, he was doing everything. Now he's just being president. Herv's going to be GM. They're going to hire a coach, which would probably be Milanovic, I would think.
Yeah. Big moves. Well, listen, this team, I mean, they came so close to winning it all against the Bombers in those back-to-back Grey Cups. And since then, I mean, they've really sort of taken a step back. So I can't say I'm surprised that Hamilton was going in a little bit of a different direction. And I guess they wanted to keep Steinauer in the mix, a big part of the organization. But But Herb getting the opportunity to run the show again. Listen, the CFL is better when that guy's calling shots somewhere.
Yeah, it's been weird because I've been bumping into him at stadiums across the country, and it's kind of just he's so behind the scenes. And I'm like, oh damn, Herb, yeah, I forgot you were here doing this. So, yeah, that's interesting. That's some big news out of Hamilton today, and now they'll have same bodies around, just a shuffling of decision makers, I guess. So we'll see where that goes. We're on the CFL quickly, and then we're going to get to the Monday Nighter. Willie Jefferson, is that, to me, and Marshall asked me this last night because, Marshall is very concerned about all the free agents of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And he goes, Daddy, with Willie coming back, does that mean other guys will come back as well? And I said, good question. I'll ask Hus tomorrow. Hus, is this kind of the first sort of sign, like, okay, they're going to try to keep a good chunk of the band together, or what do you think?
Oh, I mean, I think so. I mean, listen, when you've played at there'll be a few guys that'll probably retire that have said that was their inclination. And Mike O'Shea said, well, give it a month and then we'll talk about it. Don't make any rash decisions. Much like ruling guys out to play in the Grey Cup. I mean, he'll wait for the last possible minute. But there's a pretty clear priority list of the guys that, you really want to make sure that are coming back. And I would suggest that Willie Jefferson is right there near the top of that list. So he got it done. Here's what Willie had to say. He just had a media conference. We're trying to build something special. The culture here is great. The atmosphere is great. The fans are great. The organization's wonderful. I'm just happy we were able to get the deal done. No dilly-dally, no hesitations. I knew what I wanted, and the team was ready to give me everything I wanted, plus a little more. I'm happy. I'm satisfied.
Well, there you go. Got what he wanted, plus a little more. You can't complain.
Hey, it's he's the guy, man. He's that is hilarious. Ed Tate just tweeted out some prescription Entvio commercial. I guess it's for some sort of pill or something like that. And the guy in the ad either is Kahari Jones or is the biggest dead ringer for Kahari Jones.
You said this was Tate? Ed Tate?
Yeah, here. I'll fire it over to you on the DM.
I'll just search Tate here. I should here we go. I got it. Let's see here.
Is that not Kahari Jones? Folks, if you want to go to at Ed Tate WFC to see what we're talking about.
I haven't seen it yet. It's not popping up yet on my feed. I don't know.
It's December 3rd was the
oh, there we go. I see you shared it with me. Yeah.
Oh,
geez, that's got to be.
Is that
not?
He's playing a truck driver in some pharmaceutical commercial.
Really? Is that Kahari Jones?
It sure looks like him, but I'm not.
No,
sure
I can't be. Well, oh man, the guy driving when he's driving the truck, it kind of looks like him. Wow, that's kind of interesting. All right, so there's the football scene. I do like seeing some reaction roll in here at 780-218-9999 on the Ticats changes. Rip City Steps says that is a nice sounding football operations department. And then Jeff from Hamilton says they'll bump Milanovic up to head coach and hire June Jones as OC. And there has been some June Jones conversation around the Canadian Football League. So
we'd kick the name around June Jones here in Winnipeg if Buck ended
prior
up
to Buck leaving, or if he didn't leave,
leaving to Saskatchewan. But Corey Mace is their guy. Buck is back, and I think for the Bombers and for Marshall.
Let me pass this along. What do you got?
I think the fact that the general manager, the assistant GMs, the head coach, the coordinators. I mean, it seems like everybody is coming back. So as far as the players go, I think that probably gives them a little bit of a leg up on bringing back most of the players that they want. Although, I mean, there will be changes. It's inevitable, and it happens each and every year. But especially at this point with the number of the guys that have been around as long. I guess the big question is Brady Oliveira. I mean, does he get I'll be honest.
He might get a sniff, but I think he'll be back.
Yeah, I just have a hard time imagining an NFL opportunity just because of how many – I mean, it's just a running back factory coming out of the NCAA.
Yeah.
So he's got his good spot. I think he realizes his big thing is bringing the O-lineman back. And Stanley Bryant, he's been I think he's 38 now. He's just an absolute rock, though. I mean, like, listen, he'll be another priority guy. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if in the next week or two we hear some clarity about him if he's coming back. Otherwise, if he wants to retire, I think they'll give him plenty of extra time to change his mind.
Hey, what about Big Hill? Is Big Hill one of those guys that could possibly retire?
Big Hill's signed for next year.
Oh, he is? Okay.
I kind of think that Adam Big Hill, when it's all said and done, is going to have to be dragged off the field. Like, I have a hard time thinking that he wouldn't be back, especially the way the season ended last year.
Yeah, he does not want to go out like that, right?
No, and he can still play at a really, really high level. He's a real leader on this team, much like Willie is on that defense. So I think it's highly likely that he'll be back. I mean, Dembski signed. That's the thing. Marshall doesn't have to worry because he's got Dembski. He's got Zach.
Yeah, I know.
So now Willie's back. So they.
Hey, do you plan on going to the Bombers locker room sale? I got an email about the locker room sale.
I didn't. I did see something on that.
If you do end up going, text me if there's any items that may interest an 8-year-old Bombers fan from the room, like some Nick Dembski gloves or something. That would blow his mind. So let me know if you go, because I feel there'd be a purchase there for me. Okay, Hus, we're going to get into the Monday Nighter. I promise. We're going to get to the NHL slate, but I see Surveyor Brett here, and it's a massive story right now. Surveyor Brett says, I saw Ohtani to the Jays odds went from plus 275 to plus 150 since Monday. This just gets heated up more and more, doesn't it? It's quite something.
Dude, did you get on it at 25-1 when I threw that in the lock shop?
I did not. I did not get on it at 25-1. I am very much regretting it right now.
I just keep looking at my open bets every time I'm going in to check on something, and I see this Ohtani 25-1. Like, and that was
like less than 7 days ago, buddy. Like, yeah.
What was the date? Here it is.
It was not that long ago because Jake was on, or Pat was on with us, I think, and we were like wrapping up, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, well, I just said, hey, this has sort of come out. And I just went and checked it out. And I mean, like within an hour, it had gone from 25-1 to 5-1.
Now, a lot of that could be lock shop bump for sure. But then since then, it's the actual fact that people are really connecting these two parties right now.
Listen, apparently he met, was it Ken Rosenthal? I'll just bring this up. Ken Rosenthal tweeted earlier today that Ohtani had met with the Shohei Ohtani and Blue Jays believed to have met Monday at team's Florida complex.
Yeah, down in Dunedin.
Yeah, in the clearest sign yet of Blue Jays' interest in Ohtani, club officials are believed to have met Monday with the Japanese superstar at their spring training complex. While a timetable for the free agent decision is not known, the meeting would indicate that negotiations with the Jays and other clubs are entering the final stages. Dodgers, Cubs, and potentially other teams remain in the bidding. And there's been a lot of smoke around this. I mean, I guess, Ohtani, whose trademarks include an intense focus on preparation, relentless attention to detail. A visit to the Jays spring training home likely would be a prerequisite to him to further advance negotiations.
Well, from a rehab perspective, right? Probably for the next little while here, I would think. Like,
definitely. But he had previously not seen, and the Jays do have a $100 million training complex that they just opened.
Yeah, it's one of, if not the nicest in baseball, right? So you want to kind of roll that out there to him, I guess.
Here's the interesting stuff. So Atkins did not meet with the club's media in person at the winter meetings, instead conducting his session by Zoom because of what the team called a scheduling conflict. John Schneider was originally scheduled to speak to the media on Monday as well, but last Friday, the team's PR staff rescheduled his availability for Tuesday afternoon. And meanwhile, Baello, who is Ohtani's agent, was not in Tennessee on Monday, according to an industry source with knowledge of the situation. And Atkins conducted his Zoom sitting in front of a nondescript white wall that offered no clues on his whereabouts.
There's got to be a reflection in that white wall, Right? There has to be. Somebody needs to Photoshop a reflection of Ohtani in the white wall behind him like he's sitting there next to his computer. That would be funny. I like that.
What happens if they get him? Does that make it more likely that they trade one of Vlad or one of Bo?
I don't I think it's less likely because I think you're viewing it as you've got 2 years of team control of those other two guys right now. So you're full blown all in for the next 2 years. So I think that probably makes it less likely. Cowboy in the nasty chat says, I got it at plus 2,500 on November 27th at the end of your show. So that would be that would be
when we were talking about it. We kind of did a quick Cowboy.
Would the Jays getting Ohtani be like the biggest needle mover in Canadian sports history? Like this is a significant. This would be like the Toronto Maple Leafs getting Sidney Crosby in his prime. You know what I mean? Like that would have been massive. Like Ohtani brings that much swag and that much clout with him. I think it would have to be up there, buddy. Like,
I mean, he is the biggest free agent in baseball history.
Yeah.
He's going to be signing the biggest contract of all time.
He's going to be signing the biggest contract in sports history.
International superstar that transcends his sport. As far as a single player move,
it has to be.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to argue.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, there are things like the Gretzky trade back in '88. I mean,
trading Gretzky away was massive.
Was a needle mover, if you will, but that was sort of on a negative side. You know, at the end of the day, listen, the Oilers still won a cup in 1990, so they were fine afterwards. But you know what I'm saying? As far as just, a big splash move, player move, I mean, it would be right up there. It would be right up there. And I am so here. Yeah. So Kirk, I got 25-1 on the 27th at 2. Thanks, Hus. Cowboy as well. Yeah, listen, we will have a lock shop victory lap of all time if this happens. Not only will everyone be so fired up that Ohtani's going, but going to be getting a nice little return on a 25-1 wager that dropped about 80% shortly after we finished up the program.
I love this. This text is in. It says, I hit it. Thanks, Us. I told all the boys to hit it as well, and those dummies also have some serious FOMO right now. So he was like, come on, let's get it, 25-1. We'll see where it goes. Beef Nips is in and says, I wish I would put more than $5 on it right now. So, look, we'll see where it comes out. Even the 25-5 is a decent little return there for you, Beef Nips. So you got to be pretty happy with that. Huss, let's get in to the Monday Nighter. We were in the Bengals plus the 10 points. That was really never in doubt. A scary injury for Trevor Lawrence. Doug Peterson saying today it's a high ankle sprain, which should lead us to see Rourke at least activated and added to the roster. What do we get? My lock shop play of the day was Jamar Chase, over 59.5 yards. That was a no sweater. And on the Cool Bet Hotline on the Nielsen Show, we were on Trevor Lawrence over 20.5, and he finished with 22 completions in the game. So delivered a couple of dubs there as well. Partner parlay did not hit, but overall, I mean, I'm not disappointed with the way the bets went on Monday night.
No, me neither. I could have used another field goal or two. That would have been nice.
Well, I got the one off the bar and then the one missed. Like, that should have hit. The field goal should have hit, buddy.
Well, I mean, there was none until the fourth quarter, and then they went back and forth. It went to overtime, and I was literally thinking this could be the craziest bailout of all time if it goes field goal in overtime, and we get 4 basically in the last 5-6 minutes.
That would have been pretty incredible.
Game time for doing it. But hey, listen, we're burying the lead. We'll get to Lawrence and his situation going forward. But oh my God, Jake Browning.
Yeah.
One of the great starts, like the list of players, undrafted players that have passed for 350 with an 80% completion rate is one. Jake Browning. Like last night was literally a historic performance.
Well, they said last night he had the highest completion percentage, I think, of any quarterback in their first or second start. 32 or 37.
He was absolutely lights out. And here's the thing. the Bengals, like if he can play like that,
Yeah, are they not done? Like
The
when you look at the
Bengals
AFC, how many middling teams are there right now, right? Like
listen, and the fact that they won and both the Steelers and the Browns lost, you've got 4 teams at 7-5 right now for 3 wild cards. So let's see as it goes for playoff right now. The Steelers have the 5 spot. The Browns have the 6 spot. The Colts have the 7 spot. And then Houston is at 7-5 after the win over the Broncos last week. Technically out, but just out on a tiebreaker. Then the Broncos, having lost that first after winning those 5 in a row, they're at 6-6. The Bengals are at 6-6 now. The Bills are at 6-6. This is going to come right down to week 18. I don't think there's any question about it. And we'll just see who can hang in there over the next few weeks and stay in. But I will say that Trevor Lawrence and this injury, a high ankle sprain, like I'm not. Let's see what's their schedule like.
well, I was just looking at the Bengals schedule too. You look that one up. Here's the Bengals schedule the rest of the way for everybody. They get the Colts. Colts, obviously, they've been rolling lately, but they get the Colts, they get the Vikings, they get the Steelers, huge game. And then they wrap at the Chiefs and then home to the Browns. So not an easy schedule, not a killer of a schedule either. But that's their schedule. And then, Jacksonville sits at 8-4, and you've got both Indy and Houston right behind them at 7-5. And who do the Jags play down the stretch?
So the Jags are in Cleveland this Sunday. Then they're home to the Ravens.
That's a tough one.
And then they get at Tampa, home to Carolina, at the Titans.
Oh, pretty solid finish. Pretty solid finish.
For sure.
Yeah.
But again, I mean,
high ankle though. That's not. The high ankle is the worst ankle. Like it's
worse than breaking.
Yeah, I mean, I would be surprised if Trevor Lawrence plays again before maybe January 7th. But I mean, this is likely a season thing. I would think regular season at least.
I mean, put it this way: they might rush him back and shoot him up, but he won't be anywhere close to the same quarterback that he was. Like, a guy with that sort of mobility, you take that away from him, and that's even if he can get back on the field. Yeah, I don't know. But listen, we're going to talk to Naylor about this. I'm sure you guys were kicking this around on your program. Is it going to be Nathan Rourke time in Jacksonville?
Well, I mean, once you see enough of Beathard, it very well could be. The guy had nine drives in the preseason, and it's preseason, I get it. But he had 9 drives, 5 touchdowns, 2 kneel downs, and a running back fumble. So, I mean, he was really damn efficient. And I think we will see Nathan Rourke take snaps in the next couple of weeks. So that's kind of exciting. Kind of exciting, actually. So we'll see how that plays out.
Despite the tough loss to the Packers, I'm just looking at the landscape of the AFC right now. I think the Chiefs are going to get the number 1 seed again.
Really?
Well,
wow.
Jacksonville just lost.
Yeah.
So they're at 8-4. The Miami Dolphins it's the Dolphins and the Ravens. Listen to the Baltimore schedule. Home to the Rams, at the Jags. Now, again, that might be without Trevor Lawrence, so that's probably a nice spot for them. At the 49ers, home to the Dolphins, and home to the Steelers. Miami. What does Miami have?
Yeah, I got Miami. They got the Titans, the Jets, so that should be 2 dubs, the Cowboys, and then the Ravens and the Bills, who could be very desperate at that time. So,
for sure.
What's the Chiefs' schedule look like the rest of the way?
So the Chiefs have the Bills this week, massive game, especially for Buffalo.
Yes.
Then they've got the Patriots.
Okay, that's a win by 30.
Home to the Raiders. Home to the Bengals. And at the Chargers.
Oh, yeah. No, that's not bad.
They need to run the table. They need to run the table with these 5 games. And who knows? I mean, maybe the toughest test is going to be this Bills game tonight. Although, again, with Jake Browning being the guy that he was last night, I think all bets are off when it came to just putting the X through the Cincinnati Bengals. So it's like, in a way, all these mediocre teams has been sort of a drag, but it's going to make for a fascinating December and some really, really fun conversations about playoff spots and tiebreakers, and every game is going to matter. That's for sure.
All right, should we slide over to the National Hockey League, Hus? Enough games tonight. We probably can find 3 that we could throw into a little bit of a partner parlay. And let me quickly whip you through the matchups. And I thought I had the starting goalies up as well. I'll bring those up here as well as we work our way through a 7-game slate tonight in the National Hockey League. The Los Angeles Kings getting the Columbus Blue Jackets. Right now, Phoenix Copley's likely, and Merzlikins is likely as well. Shesterkin likely. Rangers on the road in Ottawa against Anton Forsberg, who's projected to be the starter there. We've got confirmed goaltenders in the San Jose Islanders matchup, Kaapo Kähkönen and Ilya Sorokin. Alex Lyon and Eric Comrie in Detroit at Buffalo. Nashville gets Chicago. Soderblom is locked in and confirmed for the Blackhawks. UC Saros is listed as likely for the Preds. Ducks, unconfirmed right now. John Gibson is there. Colorado Avalanche, likely Georgiev. And then Minnesota has confirmed Gustafsson. Vladar will start for the Flames with Markstrom out. See how much they involve Wolf here over the next little bit. And then the New Jersey Devils and Canucks in the Battle of the Hughes brothers. Vanacek unconfirmed and Demko unconfirmed. Hus, what pops off the board for you tonight?
Well, just before we get to these numbers, you know what really pops off the board? We're sitting there talking about how, like, the Oilers have played 22 games, and I'm looking at Vegas with 26. A number of teams, like, for instance, Tampa in the Atlantic Division, 26. The Ottawa Senators have played 19 games. They have 7 games in hand on Tampa right now. Like, how is that possible?
Well,
how many games?
They were overseas, right? They were overseas. Yeah, but still, I mean, there's other teams that are overseas too, and they're not that far back. So, good point.
No, it is wild. Anyways, now they are. So what? I guess they did win their last game. They are the definition of mediocre right now. 1 game under 500. Does it not seem weird that the Rangers are only a -143 favorite?
Okay, so this is interesting because my lock shop play of the day, which will drop later on the Cool Bet socials, I guess, spoiler alert, I got the Rangers in regulation at +114 tonight, simply because I can't pass on the Rangers in regulation at +114. So I got on them tonight. But yeah, so it's funny you bring that up, because when I was looking at the board, I was like, man, Rangers -143 right now against Ottawa. That one, I mean, where's Jake when you need him? Is that officially fishy? Like, what's going on there?
Yeah.
The Rangers look like arguably the best team in the entire league, buddy.
Well, and they've just put together wins. Like, they won 6 in a row, lost 1. Won 4 in a row, lost 1. 3 in a row, lost 1. And then they're in the midst of another 3-game losing streak. I mean, they've had the odd slip up and the odd off night, and then they just go and win for another week or 2 weeks. So it is tough. Did you have goalies for that one?
Not confirmed, but the likelies were Shesterkin and Forsberg. And that was as of this morning. So I don't know. We'll see on that front. But yeah, so I'm on the Kings. I'm on the Kings on a regulation play. We hit the one yesterday, so try to go 2 for 2 here to start the week. Or not the Kings, sorry, on the Rangers. I have a little EST parlay up on the Kings -1.5 and the Lakers -1.5. So both of those groups at -1.5. And that's a little EST parlay that'll be available over in the exclusives here as we find ways to dabble in some EST exclusives, decide to ride on both LA teams minus the 1.5. The Kings get the Columbus Blue Jackets tonight. I don't know. Craig Button on our show today, buddy, absolutely destroyed the Columbus Blue Jackets. It was hilarious. We asked him, we're like, everybody seems to be talking about Blue Jackets turning. He goes, what's Columbus? What are the Blue Jackets? Yeah, you go there, you play there, they shoot a cannon. Great. Nobody cares about the Columbus Blue Jackets. Like, he was just all over the Blue Jackets on our show this morning. It was an all-time legendary rant out of nowhere on the Columbus Blue Jackets. So I decided to use some of that momentum to get on the Kings there at minus 1.5 at plus 116. But, what else are we looking at here?
The Kings are so good, man. I watched them the other night just demolish the Avalanche.
It's a wrecking crew, isn't it? Like,
yeah. I mean, they're just lining them up. And, hey, Quinton Byfield.
Oh, boy.
Who we had thought, is this guy a bust? He hasn't really turned into the player they thought they were getting at number 2 overall. They whiffed. They should have taken Stützle. I don't think they're saying that right now. I mean, he's riding shotgun with Kopitar and Kempe and turning into the guy they thought. So, pretty hard not to like the Kings going up against Seabus tonight. We talked about the Rangers. Detroit at minus 129. Not a bad number. I mean, that is a team that, of that group of Ottawa, Buffalo, Detroit, who's going to make the push? It's been the Wings. And I guess we won't see Patrick Kane won't make his debut today, which would have been cool because he is from Buffalo. That would have been
kind of neat, yeah.
But hey, the bottom line is they have won 5 of their last 6. And their only loss in that 6 is to the New York Rangers 3-2. So not too bad. They're beating some of the teams below them in the standings, some of the ones way down with their wins against the Blackhawks and Canadians. I kind of like the Wings to kind of keep this going.
Just some quick notes on Buffalo. They've lost 3 in a row. They've lost 4 of 5. They've lost 7 of 10. But they do get Tage Thompson back tonight. So that could factor into this as well. But that's another game I would tend to lean with you on the Detroit Red Wings there, especially at the minus 129 number. Islanders and Sharks. The Islanders are minus 318. I don't know if do you have that San Jose feeling, Hus, like you have in the past, or
no,
not on the road,
no.
Not at plus 260. Like,
not today.
Nashville,
I do like Calgary,
Nashville, Chicago, Calgary, Minnesota, Colorado, Anaheim. They played on Saturday, and the Ducks came back. They were down 3-1, came back and won that game. You do like Calgary tonight? Minnesota's won 3 in a row.
Yeah. I guess they have. Yeah. I mean, listen, Minnesota's gotten it together a little bit after the coaching change. But, yeah, they beat the Blackhawks 4-1. They crushed the Predators, beat the Blues. Calgary, I watched that game on Saturday night. Or at least part of it, in the 4-3 loss to Vancouver. But before that, they'd beaten Dallas. They'd beaten Vegas. I mean, this was a really, really tough road trip. I think they get back at it, and they are actually, I think, a slight underdog. Yeah, they are. Slight underdog, minus 104 at home. So I don't mind that. And you know what? We'll see about now. Cale Makar did not play in that last game. See what they've got for Avs lines. Because if Makar is not out, or he's out, it doesn't look like he's going to be in. Man, does that blue line, it still looks good. But, when you're putting in Sam Malinsky and Caleb Jones as opposed to Cale Makar, a bit of a drop off, and then Nichushkin as well potentially could not be playing. So I certainly won't be hammering the puck line on the Avalanche tonight.
No, definitely not. What do you think of the Hughes Bowl? What do you think of that game?
I was just about to say, is this Big Brother's time to flex? How much money's on the board for this game?
Oh, there would be quite a bit between the bros, I would think. Hey, like that would make quite a bit of sense. 2 of them have cashed in massive contracts already. Like, there'd be a lot of money kicking around here.
We're gonna see what
The total
what
in that
Vancouver-
game, by the way, is set at 7. It's the only 7 on the board tonight to go along with a 5.5, 3 6s, a couple of 3 6.5s, a few 6s.
Wow. Vancouver 8-2-1 at home. The Devils are 6-4 away from home. They actually have a better road record than they do home record. But again, a lot of it was timing because when they were without Meyer and Hughes and Nico Hischier as well. I'm really high on what the Vancouver Canucks are doing right now. New Jersey is and should be a desperate team. I mean, they're in 7th in the Met right now. I mean, they're not out of it at all, and they have only played 22 games. So they're going to be looking to stack some points with a few of these games that they've got to make up. Vancouver's a tough place to play, a very tough place to play. I think I like the I like Vancouver, although I'm always leery of a team coming off a complete bed shitting, which is what New Jersey did by losing 6-3 to the Sharks at home.
Yeah, good point.
I do kind of feel sometimes those teams are more dangerous, but I think Vancouver deserves to be a slight favorite in this game. And yeah, I think I like the home team and both of those really tight ones. I mean, Calgary is a slight home underdog, and the Canucks as the slightest of favorites at -111.
I think I'd ride with you on the Canucks on that one. I also do like Nashville. I know it's -185. We're going to throw it into parlay. I don't hate it. Soderblom's 2-8 on the year in net for Chicago. Nashville's been playing pretty damn well over their last 10 games, so I feel really confident about Nashville on the money line at -185. And like you said earlier, some of these other games, I like the Wings. I do like the Rangers, even though the line's giving us those fishy vibes. And then, the one play I was going to look at, if we wanted to throw it into a parlay, the Kings in regulation are -141, which is kind of a parlay type number that we could make work as opposed to the +114 on the puck line if we wanted to play it a little bit safer for a parlay, Hus. So what 3 do we want to throw in here? Because we got 4 or 5 legit options, I think.
Yeah, well, as I say, why don't we put the Rangers in, the Rangers money line?
Okay.
We can go Preds money line.
Okay.
So we got Rangers, we got Preds.
And then Canucks.
Then do we like, what happens with Vancouver?
What number did Canucks get to? That gets it to like +398. 4-1. We're going to get a boost on it.
Well, let's roll with those.
I could see it getting bumped up to like +435, +450-ish even maybe. So
yeah, they're always quite nice to us. They're always quite nice to us. So we'll fire that over to Jake and get something like that up in the exclusives at some point this afternoon.
I'm going to take a picture of it right now, and I'll just send that to Jake, unless he's watching or have dogs watch it or something. They will get that taken care of for you. You can watch for it. We might even have it. I mean, we're going to be done here in less than 10 minutes, but we might have that up right away. I've sent it to him. It is +398. Prior to a boost. You can find it in the exclusives page. By the way, as far as exclusives go tonight, if you go to exclusives, we do have the Edmonton Sports Talk parlay in there. It's +350. Kings -1.5. Lakers -1.5. The exclusives, if you just click on Cool Bet exclusives, the NHL, the National Hughes League, Jack Hughes with a goal, Quinn Hughes with an assist, Luke Hughes with a point, +575 tonight. So there's that. There's the chalk it up to win, which would be the Kings money line, the Preds money line, and the Avs money line at +225. I mentioned on my show earlier, I had a little 4-game parlay going in the NHL on Saturday night, and the last game I needed was Colorado against Anaheim, and they were up 3-1. And I was like, well, that'll do it. I'm going to bed. So I went to bed. Wake up the next morning, hop on, look into my account, see my balance. I'm like, what the hell? Where's the 400 I won in the National Hockey League last night? And go look at the final score, and I'm like, the Ducks somehow come back from down 3-1 to win that game in a shootout, I think it was too. So, and that snapped their long slide and everything. It was that was a kick in the balls on Sunday morning, buddy. I'm not gonna lie. So
it's funny. Chad Moore in chat just said, talking about New Jersey maybe being a bit more of a dangerous team considering the way they played against San Jose. The most recent bed shitting was Tampa over Dallas. Yeah, 8-1 on Saturday. And then I actually hit Tampa last night. I came back with Tampa thinking there's no way they don't step up. And lo and behold, they did. But all anyone's talking about is, did you guys have some fun with Vasilevsky's post-game interview?
We didn't get to it today. Somebody texted that in, but I didn't get to it at all. I didn't get to it.
He basically let a massive fart go in the middle of his interview. He just ripped one.
Oh, seriously? Is that what people...
Yeah.
What? What? Like on purpose? Or like...
You haven't seen this? Oh
no, I haven't seen it yet, man. I haven't seen it yet.
Hey, we're gonna get live reaction to Dusty right now.
Bring it up. Send me the link. I'll watch it.
This is why we need to get to the point where we can play this.
Yeah.
On
You're
the
right.
Stream.
Yeah. All right,
on the stream.
let me see this.
Turn your volume up.
Okay, hang on. Actually, I could have played it off my computer here, but all right. I didn't see this today. I saw a couple of people text about it, but.
Obviously, it wasn't great feeling last game, but
What the hell was that? What was going on there? Like
he just ripped one, and then he just started laughing, kind of sheepishly. He couldn't blame it on any.
I was wondering if there was like an initial blaming it on somebody else, or was it somebody else? And he's kind of just
I don't think so. I've watched it numerous times. You can just tell him. You can just tell by his face. Like he's laughing afterwards. He's like, yeah, it was a good game. Oh my God, I just ripped one right in front of all the media.
That's hilarious.
Red face at the end.
Yeah, that's pretty funny, actually.
At Orange Streak, one of the comments, this is the fart that turns their season around.
You always got to find a way to turn the season around, right? Yeah, okay, well, that was pretty good. That was pretty funny, actually. All right, so from our show this morning, actually, let me just whip you through the other exclusives over and the exclusives page.
There is speculation in the chat that it was somebody else.
Yeah.
That, like a teammate or something around it. I think it was Vasilevsky.
Could be an interesting move by a teammate, though, because Vasilevsky's going to be on camera. So if you let one rip next to him on the interview, it's going to look like it was him, right? So,
but the thing is, will you not look over when that happened?
Good
he just
point.
Basically put his head down and like, oh my God, I just did that.
I don't know how you wouldn't hold that in, though. Like, I don't get it. Like, you're doing an interview. Like,
in the chat, verdict, Vasilevsky or another culprit.
There was a second farter around the corner, like the exclusives for NHL tonight. Shots. The Brinkat, Lindholm, and Besser all to record 3+ plus 475. The Young Guns, Bedard to score, and Leo Carlson to record a point plus 475 points from the point. Yossi, Devin Taves, Drew Doughty all to record a point tonight. I don't actually hate that one because we like Nashville. We like the Kings. And with Makar out, there could be an opportunity there. That's 5-1. And then Canada, Ottawa, Calgary, Vancouver, all to win tonight. That's a long shot at plus 825. Hus, I have to say that Craig Button on our show this morning, after he was done ripping the Columbus Blue Jackets, I was like, hey, Craig, we'll talk to you later. He goes, hey, I have a confession. I was like, okay, Craig, what's your confession today? And he goes, I can't stand the NBA play-in tournament. He just all of a sudden took a huge rant on the NBA play-in tournament, which was kind of breaking my heart a little bit because I've been into the play-in tournament so far. The Lakers play the Suns tonight. Has the play-in tournament moved the needle for you in an interest level ever so slightly even?
Well, I guess.
A little bit, right?
Ever so slightly.
Yeah.
Like, put it this way, in theory, I was talking to this about some buddies yesterday. The freaking regular season is so damn long. Like, doing some things to create and make it a little more interesting or change it up, I'm with you. I'm with it. The courts look cool. That's the one thing that sort of catches your attention if you're flicking around. You see these wild new courts. I would love if the NHL, maybe in the head-to-head games, like, wouldn't it be cool to have a Canada Cup, like within the inner Canadian play.
That's interesting.
Every time, Winnipeg is playing Montreal or Edmonton or whatever, we're keeping head-to-head standings of the Canadian teams against each other. And maybe it's just they just identify a home and away game, because obviously if you're in the division, you're like Edmonton is playing Calgary more than Winnipeg is playing Montreal. But I'm here for it. I mean, any way to make things a little more interesting throughout the regular season, I am here for. And listen, I mean, with all this talk about international hockey and the play-in tournament, I mean, I do dream of a time where hockey goes to more of an international soccer type schedule, where the season might be a little bit longer.
3 points for regulation wins.
Well, that's the biggest no-brainer around.
Yeah.
But there's breaks for international play. And I mean, how cool would some sort of a Champions League be, where, kind of like the Spengler, but you're getting a few of the top European teams.
That would be interesting. I don't think the PA would ever sign off on something like that, but that would be cool.
No, you're right.
That would be cool. But you take like the KHL champion, the NHL champion, the Swedish league champion, and the Finnish league champion, and they go at it and you know what? For the Swedish league and the Finnish league, that would mean a lot to try to go and knock off the Stanley Cup champion. Like,
absolutely. Or, even it's just there's a particular group, or we bring some of those teams over and they play. Like, I'm here for innovation in it, because, as I say, as someone that covers it, that has season tickets, that goes to all the games, I mean, 41 home games is a lot. And, as people get more stressed too, like about the cost of their homes and their mortgages and all that, and have tough times buying tickets as much as maybe they had in the past, I think you're going to start to see, trying to do more to give fans a reason that this is a big game. This is an important one. And, partly it's marketing the stars and marketing the matchups and players like that. But I mean, I would love to see some, cross league play, but the one thing that we need is the best on best. So figure that one out first, I guess, and then we can start inventing Champions Leagues and whatnot for the National Hockey League.
You know what? So this was interesting. YouTube, Trev and I were talking about this between, like, in the NBA. So there's money on the line, there's cash on the line, but where would you come out on them also putting the champion of the in-season tournament gets 5 bonus points in the standings? Just 5, not 10, not 1. Because we're like, it'd be nice if there's some sort of like difference to winning it in standings. And we're like, well, what if it was 5 points? What if there was 5 bonus points for the in-league champion? And that way, let's say you're sitting in 11th and you're trying to get into the bubble and you won it. And you had 5 bonus points for winning a tournament that had significant meaning in the middle of the season. I don't know where people come out of it, but I'm not even 100% sure where I come out of, but I'm very intrigued by the idea, and I think would add even more to it.
It gives more impact to the entire thing. And listen, you'll probably have a good team win it. I mean, that could be the difference between the 2 seed or a 1 seed. And we all know how important home court is. So
yeah, you could go 5 points for first and 2 or 3 points for second. You know what I mean? Like, you could, I don't know. I think that would be, I don't think that changes it too much, but I think it puts a really good emphasis on having, going after it in these, not that teams haven't. Like, I have been pretty impressed with the commitment from some of these guys for these games. But I think that would really take it to another level, which I'd have a lot of fun with that.
Is are the games set now?
The quarterfinals. They played quarterfinals last night, and then there's 2 quarterfinals tonight. The Knicks and the Bucks, and then the Suns and the Lakers tonight in quarterfinal action in preseason tourney.
Here it is. Okay, yeah. So the Bucks and the Knicks, Pacers and Celtics, Sacramento Kings, New Orleans Pelicans, and the Lakers and the Suns. And the Pelicans are already through, and the Pacers are already through.
Yep.
Huh.
Yeah, so Bucks and Knicks tonight, Lakers and Suns tonight. So as a Lakers fan, I'm actually really excited to watch this game tonight and to see if they can make it to the semifinals. of the play-in tournaments. It's quite the scene.
Ooh, love it.
Yeah. What's coming up on the Winnipeg Sports Talk today, buddy?
Oh, well, we'll do a victory lap after the game last night. We'll give some love to Laurent Brossoit. Sean Reynolds is going to jump on, Mike McIntyre. And then we're going to find out where the hell the Jags go from here and what does this mean for Nathan Rourke. Dave Naylor's going to pop by. And
you're going to get Naylor? I was thinking about getting Naylor on tomorrow, too. Well. Yeah.
Yeah, it should be good. And then tomorrow we can start looking ahead to the week in the National Football League. And the Oilers finally play tomorrow night?
They play Carolina tomorrow night, yes. So we'll finally have a game to tee up tomorrow on the Nielsen Show. That'll be a lot of fun as well. Winnipeg Sports Talk is coming up right away. And we're going to have we got some Philip Broberg news for two guys and a goalie today. Kevin Weeks reporting that the Oilers are looking at possibly moving Philip Broberg, but it would have to be a money out, money in situation, which is hilarious because he only makes $860,000. So give us a list of guys who may also make $860,000, and we'll see if we'll be able to pull a trigger on that somehow. So that's coming up on Two Guys and a Goalie. Fantasy Football 5 right away as well. Hus, you have a good show today, buddy.
Thanks, dude. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Shout out to the people in the nasty chat.
All right, what is going on? The partner parlay is already up. If you just missed that on the lock shop, I just got a text to 780-218-9999. It says the partner parlay is already up. There it is. What they give us, plus 450. Ask and you shall receive. It was plus 358. I said they'll probably bump it up to plus 435 or plus 450. So we got it. If you want that right now, Rangers, Preds, Canucks, all to win tonight, plus 450 in the Lock Shop partner parlay. If you would like to ride with us on that one, the Fantasy Football 5 today and every day brought to you by our great partners at Century Casino, Fort Road, the Sports Bar and Lounge there. Join Lieutenant Air. If you were there with them last night, what a time, as a pretty entertaining game between the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Cincinnati Bengals. Significant fantasy ramifications coming out of a Trevor Lawrence injury. Christian Kirk apparently is going to need surgery. What does that mean for your Calvin Ridleys? What does it mean for your Travis Etienne's? And it can't be good news. Either way, I know sometimes you'll be like, well, maybe they'll start running the ball more with Travis Etienne, but he's already slightly banged up anyway. You know what you might do? You might want to stash Dearness Johnson. They were talking about him a little bit on the broadcast last night. They involved him a little bit. If you have any questions, it is waiver wire day. I've got 3 players that I think you should be taking a look at on the waiver wire as well. I found myself in a tough spot last night watching that game. We'll get into that a little bit, but you can text us anytime, 780-218-9999. If you are listening on TuneIn or at edmontonsportstalk.com or you're watching on YouTube, we do have Two Guys and a Goalie with myself, Cass, and Gager coming up here right away at noon. We'll talk about that Broberg speculation from Kevin Weeks, talk about the Oilers coming off of I also have some Indiana Jones trivia today because Gager watched the new Indiana Jones over the weekend with his boys. So I got 7 Indiana Jones questions. I'll pit the boys head-to-head on that later in the episode today as well. So this is a situation I found myself in last night. In that 16-team league that we talk about all the time here in the Fantasy Football 5, I was in a win-and-you're-in situation. I talked about it here yesterday. I needed to make sure that Evan Ingram did not get 7 more points than the combination of McManus and T. Higgins. He ended up getting, I think, 10 more points in the combination of them. I knew as soon as Trevor Lawrence went down that C.J. Beathard was just going to throw to Evan Ingram. That's pretty much exactly what happened. Those PPR points basically put me away in the end. But I had guys in the league texting me throughout that, watching, because I don't have a team that's going to go on a championship run. I traded away a bunch of guys this year. I've got like 8 picks in the first 3 rounds of the draft next year. And the one guy texted me, and it led to a really interesting conversation with myself. Me and inner me kind of sat there because he's like, "Hey, are you cheering for the win to get into the playoffs here, or are you cheering for the pick? Because if you don't make the playoffs in this league, you got a top 4 pick locked in." So I'm like, yeah, it's a good point. I was very competitive. I was like, maybe I can get on a win. I can get the win, and I can go on this miraculous run. And if you win that league, it's like $1,700. But in the end, it didn't happen. I ended up being eliminated. That one McManus miss basically was the difference, 48-yarder, 46-yarder, whatever pushes wide. So he'll be on the list next year to not select because he pissed me off last night. But in the end, I will have, I had a top 4 pick last year, got Bijan Robinson. Hasn't been the league winner that I thought he was going to be. And last year, I was actually supposed to draft 3rd or 4th, and I won the lottery and got 1st. So maybe I go back-to-back lottery wins. My keepers next year in that league will now be C.J. Stroud, and it's a 16-team league. I don't mind where my keepers are at. C.J. Stroud, Bijan Robinson, CeeDee Lamb, T. Higgins, and probably Jordan Addison. And it's a 2 wide receiver league and a flex. So I feel like I'm in a decent spot, but still, I hate losing. I hate it. I know in the end it was like a nice consolation prize, top 4 pick, but I did. Even if I got trounced in the first round of the playoffs, I still would have rather been in the postseason. So that was a tough one. As for waiver wire targets for the week, 3 guys that I think you got to look at. Noah Brown being one of them with Tank Dell and this season-ending injury. Noah Brown should be in a really nice spot, so he'd be number 1 on my priority list. If you are in need of a tight end, and according to Fantasy Pros, I think this guy is less than 55% owned, but if you're in need of a tight end, I'd have Cade Otton next on the list. Now, if not, if you're fine in tight end, the number 2 on the list, I think would have to be Elijah Moore. Joe Flacco actually wants to throw the ball downfield, and Moore is capable of being, at least this week, it looked like Moore is capable of kind of being that guy. So if you don't need a tight end, I think you're looking at Noah Brown. I think you're looking at Elijah Moore, and I think you're looking at Cade Otton. Otton, this is interesting. This is why I'm not sure. Let me see. I'll see if I can bring up his maybe I have it here. His percentage owned. Yeah, here we are. Let's see. What's he owned? Cade Otton, tight end, Tampa Bay. He's only 41.4% owned. So I dove into his numbers a little bit. And in 6 of his last 7 games, he had one big game in there. He had like 23 points. But in 6 of his last 7 games, he has had at least 8.5 points or more in 6 of those last 7 games. And from a fantasy football perspective, unless you're rolling Travis Kelce or my man Sam Laporta this year, or a healthy Mark Andrews or guys along those lines, if you can bang out 8 to 10 points a week from the tight end position consistently, like there's lots of guys where it's like hit and miss. A guy will get 2 points one week. But like, for example, in my big boy league this week, I started both Njoku and Freiermuth. And Njoku's had some nice weeks. Freiermuth was coming off a monster week. And both of those guys completely crapped the bed this week. So that kind of sucked. But if Otton is going to be getting like consistently 4, 5, 6, 7 targets, and he's bringing in a minimum of 8+ points, I think that's a guy that you should look at as well. I mean, that's something that you probably put on the list. So those would be my top 3 fantasy waiver wire targets, unless you're looking at like on Fantasy Pros, their top waiver wire targets this week: Jake Moody, Saints D, Matt Gay, and then they got into the Browns, the Moores, and the Ottens. And like I said, if you need a tight end, I would bump Otton ahead of Moore, but I wouldn't bump him ahead of Brown. I'd probably go get your hands on Brown. The other thing that Cade Otton's got going for him is he's got a pretty nice schedule from a fantasy perspective the rest of the way. All right, if you want to text us, we got 2 guys and a goalie coming up, 780-218-9999. And we got some NHL text messages in there that we will certainly get to. We have 2 guys and a goalie coming up right away. That'll do it for your Fantasy Football 5. Brought to you by the Sports Bar and Lounge, Century Casino, Fort Road. Join Lieutenant Eric. Look, nobody in the world wants to watch the Steelers and Patriots on Thursday night. So why not go and do it at least with Eric and his merry men at the Century Casino? They're always having a good time there. They're playing backgammon. They're doing a bunch of stuff. You can go have some drinks, get a great deal on some dinner, and watch the football game with some other folks there. It should be a pretty good time. 2 guys and a goalie coming up next year on Edmonton Sports Talk.